The biggest lie about consistency is that you need to be motivated. That motivated people somehow has much more energy than the rest of us. They don't. They just stopped waiting to be perfect and act instead. A few months ago, I had one of those weeks when I felt completely drained. Everything felt heavy. I stopped replying to messages. I stopped working out. I opened my iPad, stared at my to-do list for about 10 minutes, and then I realized I'm scrolling through social media and watching TikTok videos. The worst part is that I wasn't actually unmotivated. It was a guilt. Because when you care about self-improving, every lazy day starts feel personal. You start thinking, maybe I'm not disciplined enough. Maybe other people has something I don't have. But most of us aren't struggling with motivation. I want to show you what I do when I feel unmotivated, how I stop spiraling, and I want to show you exactly what I do when I don't feel motivated, when I'm spiraling, and why consistency has almost nothing to do with being perfect. Because the people that change their lives, they are not the most motivated people, but they just learned how to keep going. The internet turned motivation into some magical thing, like wake up at 5 a.m., drink green juice, journal every day, work out almost every day, go outside, sleep well, etc. Meanwhile, most of the people wake up in the morning looking like potato. Motivation is unreliable. There is actual research to it. Motivation often follows actions. Research on dopamine and effort suggests dopamine is less about feeling pleasure first and more about energizing behavior and persistence once the action begins. But perfectionists do opposite. They wait to feel ready, they wait for the perfect moment, and everything they delayed because of that. If I missed one habit, I felt like whole week is ruined. It's like dropping your phone on the floor once and say, I can throw it to the river right now. That makes no sense. But it's actually exactly what perfectionism do. It turns one imperfect actions into fully identity crisis. I remember one day sitting at my desk working on something really important and I felt really exhausted. So instead of doing small portion of that task and leave the rest on another day, I did nothing. Then I spent the rest of the night feeling guilty, which is honestly really weird human experience. We are punishing ourselves for not having energy and somehow think that this punishment will magically create some sort of energy. So I was always asking myself, how do I become motivated? That's really a wrong question. Now I'm trying to ask myself, how do I make things easier when I'm not feeling motivated? Highly consistent people aren't robots. They just know how to reduce friction. They remove the drama. They stop turning every lazy day into giant emotional roller coaster. So what I actually do when I don't feel motivated? First, I lower the bar aggressively low. It sounds backwards, but it really works. I implemented into my life 5-minute rule. If I don't feel motivated and I know I need to do something, I tell myself just 5 minutes. Just start and spend 5 minutes doing the task. Then I can move on. Usually that's enough to get started. It creates momentum, and usually I don't stop after those 5 minutes. I can, but then I'm already in the action and I don't want to. We underestimate how small actions have really huge impact on our lives. Reading 2 pages still counts. Working for 10 minutes still counts. Opening the document, it still counts. You are teaching your brain, I am someone who shows up. And showing up imperfectly beats disappearing completely. Second is that I stopped trusting my feelings so much. It sounds harsh, but hear me out. Feelings are real, but they are terrible managers. If I listened to my feelings, I would probably living under my blanket like a burrito, watching conspiracy theories about Atlantis. Your brain wants comfort, and that's normal. Especially now when everything needs your attention. Notifications, apps, short videos, tiny dopamine hits every 5 seconds. Your brain is basically a toddler in candy store. So when you suddenly want to stop, sit down and do some deep work, your brain acts like, oh wait, no, stop, let's eat chips instead. That doesn't mean you are lazy, it means you are just human. The problem is when you turn those temporary feelings into permanent decisions. I don't feel motivated today becomes I'm not capable. Huge difference. One is a mood, the other becomes your identity. And identity is dangerous because your brain will try to prove it. So the best thing is stop listening what your brain is trying to tell you and trick him again with this 5-minute rule. Tell him just 5 minutes. I can deep work for 5 minutes, then I go eat the chips. This one might be the most important from this video. Make the goal embarrassingly low. When people fail their habits, it's not usually because the habits are too low, it's because they have so many, or because it's too big for them. You don't go from never running into a marathon runner overnight. You don't go from scrolling TikTok for 4 hours every single day, suddenly reading a book besides a candle while listening to jazz music. Real life is much messier than that. So now, whenever I feel stuck, I shrink the task until it feels almost stupid. Do 1 push-up, write 1 sentence, prepare 1 post. And weirdly, again, this really small action creates the momentum. So when I read 1 sentence, I'm going through all the email I have. Newton's first law applies to humans too. Objects at rest stay at rest. Objects in motion stay in motion. Starting is the hard part, not continuing. Sometimes you are not unmotivated, but you are exhausted. There is difference. A lot of people try to fix themselves when they actually need sleep, go for a walk, take break from the screen. Your body is not machine. And burnout usually don't look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like you are not caring anymore. Like sitting and scrolling and actually feeling nothing and not even enjoying it. That empty kind feeling. I hit that point last year. I forced myself to be productive, to do more, and I was so overwhelmed that I stopped everything completely. I felt like nothing has any meaning. I'm not moving on. I'm not better. But eventually my brain, or maybe even yours, tells you, cool, since you won't rest voluntarily, I'll make you rest. And suddenly you have anxiety and depression and you are doing completely nothing. You might be even ill because the body tells you and your brain tells you, I can't do this anymore. So that's why when I feel exhausted, And before I judge myself for wanting to slow down, I do some checklist. Did I sleep enough? Have I moved my body? Have I been outside today? Did I eat real food or just snacks from the shiny packages? Because sometimes the solution is not just another productivity hack. Sometimes you just need to act like real human being. Crazy concept, I know. Maybe you've been hard on yourself lately. Maybe you think you are behind. Maybe you are restarting your routines every Monday like it's a full-time job. I get it. I've been there. But your life doesn't change with some one massive perfect change. It changes because you do some small actions that lead you towards that. The quiet consistency, the normal days, the tiny choices, not the dramatic overnight transformation. And honestly, you don't need to become someone else overnight. You just need to stop quitting on yourself when life gets a little bit messy or hard. Because being messy is normal. It means we are human beings, not robots. So when you feel unmotivated, don't panic. Don't wait for some magical burst of inspiration. Make things smaller, lower the pressure, stop trying to be perfect. And ironically, the moment when you stop demanding perfection from yourself is usually the moment you finally start making real progress. I hope it helps. Don't forget to subscribe and watch the next video because perfectionism might be hidden in places you don't know about yet. Bye!